This is the Voiceover Marketing Podcast, episode 12.
The good-looking radio guy you love to hear. Okay, I added that part.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Voiceover Marketing Podcast. My name is John Melly, and this is the podcast dedicated to teaching in-depth and advanced marketing strategies for people in the voiceover and audio production professions. My goal is to help you make more money by showing you ways to leverage your time, charge more for your talents, and allow you to spend more time doing the things you want to do in your life. Hi there, it's John. How are you? We have as our special guest today, Rodney Saulsberry, and I'm going to get to my interview with Rodney in just a few minutes. But before we get started with Rodney, just thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I do appreciate it. As of this recording, there have been 5,227 downloads of the various episodes of the Voiceover Marketing Podcast, and it's so exciting. October was our biggest month yet, with well over 1,200 downloads in the month of October. So momentum is definitely building, and I want to thank you if you've shared this podcast with your friends and colleagues in the voiceover and audio production industry. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. This episode is sponsored by the VoiceOver Definition t-shirt. I had created my voiceover marketing mastermind group is starting this month, and as part of the membership, I gave members of the group a t-shirt that I had designed that defines voiceover. For once, our clothing and apparel can speak for us, and it's kind of a cute definition of voiceover. There's a link there's an image of the VoiceOver Definition t-shirt on the Voiceover Marketing Podcast, this episode, and it's done through Cafe Press. I'm not sitting at home doing iron-ons with the design on t-shirts. It's a link to Cafe Press. If you're interested in buying the t-shirt, that's great. All the t-shirt orders are fulfilled by them. So check it out at thevoiceovermarketingpodcast.com. It's a lot of fun. It's gotten a lot of positive feedback. So, it's November, and the sky's pretty much gray from now until the beginning of March here in New England. It's been a great fall for us. We actually haven't turned the heat on. Ann and I have not turned the heat on in our house yet. We still have to put up a couple of storm windows before we want to do that. But we've had a relatively mild fall, but it's not to say that it hasn't been downright cold a couple of evenings. We've put the electric blanket on the bed, and we'll turn that on about a half hour before we go to bed just to kind of take the edge off the cold sheets. But funny story. Halloween was unusually mild. I'd go so far as to say it was balmy here in Boston on Halloween, but 3 or 4 days before Halloween, it was downright chilly. So the house had cooled down, and like I said, we haven't turned on the heat. Part of this was that our very fiber of our being was like, we can't put the heat on before November 1st and before daylight savings time ends. We're kind of stubborn that way. You've heard that about us Yankees. So anyway, we was like, nope, we're not turning the heat on before November 1st and waiting to flip the clocks back. So I'm proud to say we still haven't turned the heat on because we haven't had to. But here's the funny thing that happened to us. So like I said, it was cold the first few days before Halloween, and then Halloween came and it was really warm. It was a beautiful night for the kids out trick-or-treating. So we opened up the doors and the windows to let the air in because it was actually warmer outside than it was in our house. So we live in a two-family. So I pull in the driveway. Ann's got the door open for the kids for trick-or-treat. And I walk around. I park the car in the driveway. I'll walk around to the front of the house. I open up the front door, and we live on the second floor of this two-family. And the cold air is literally pouring down the stairs out the front door. And I thought, oh, I can't believe how cold it's been inside. So here's the best part. I go upstairs and I look, and the windows are fogged up. I look at the mirror in the bedroom and in the bathrooms, and I look, and they're all fogged up, and it's so humid out, and the walls are so cold that the moisture is literally condensing on the walls and dripping down the walls. I couldn't believe it. I said to Ann, this is crazy. And she walks in and her glasses fog up and she says, this is unbelievable how warm this is. So anyway, call us stubborn, call us Yankees, call us whatever you'd like. But we'll be turning the heat on in a little bit, I'm sure. but we've held out as long as we possibly can. So, at any rate, a couple of reminders before we jump into our conversation with Rodney. Just want to let you know that if you go to the voiceovermarketingpodcast.com, you'll look on the right-hand side of the screen. There's an orange button that says leave us a message. And if you click on that, you can leave a voice message through the microphone on your computer. You don't have to use a phone. It's completely free. But if you have a question or a comment or a criticism or whatever it is that you want to share with us here at the Voiceover Marketing Podcast, all you have to do is click the orange button, give your name and email address, and boop, just hit record, and you can connect with me. You get a 90-second window to leave a message. So I'd really appreciate that if you do that. The other thing I want to let you know is a lot of folks have already signed up, but I've created a Facebook group for the Voiceover Marketing Podcast. And we've got a great group of people there sharing interesting quotes, sharing questions, making comments. I put information about upcoming episodes up there, different resources that I come across. So if you go to Facebook, go to the search bar and type in Voiceover Marketing Podcast and ask to join. I'd love to have you join and be part of the group there. So take a moment to do that if you have the opportunity. One more thing before we jump in with Rodney. So they were filming a movie here about 2-3 weeks ago. Cameron Diaz was in town to film a movie, and one of the scenes takes place in a radio station studio. So they took over one of the broadcast studios here. We have 4 radio stations in the building that I'm in, and they emptied it out and then filled it back up again with props that made it look like a radio station, which was a little confusing to me, but it was kind of cool. And so they came in and shot film. I think it was on Columbus Day. And the next day I come in, and you may recall that I was an extra in a movie. I can't tell you the movie yet because it's going to come out next fall, I guess. But I was an extra as a meat cutter. You may recall, or you may not, that to pay for college, I was a meat cutter. And so I got this casting notice looking for extras with meat cutting experience. And I said, well, I can do that. So I took a picture. Anyway, I sent it in. Long story short, back in July, I was on set and working in a film as a meat cutter, as an extra. Fast forward to the day after Columbus Day here, where they're filming the Cameron Diaz movie, totally different picture. And I go into the kitchen to wash my hands, and this guy comes around the corner. He looks at me and he says, "Meat guy?" I looked at him. I said, "Yeah." He was one of the set decorators working on the movie that I was working on. And he was breaking the set down the day after the filming for the Cameron Diaz movie that was being filmed here. And he remembered me from working in that scene. And it was so funny. And a couple of people heard him say it. And so now my new nickname around the station is Meat Guy, which is kind of funny. I don't really mind it. But at any rate, I've babbled on too long here. I got to clean this up. I'm going to clean this up in post. All that being said, I was really honored to have Rodney Saulsberry agree to come on and do an interview with me. So let's jump right into that right now. Let's go talk with Rodney. Well, welcome back. As I mentioned, my guest on the podcast is Rodney Saulsberry, who Black Enterprise Magazine called the voice of choice for behind-the-scenes narration. Now, Rodney is one of the premier voiceover talents in the country. He's also a published author with 2 best-selling books, You Can Bank on Your Voice and Step Up to the Mic. Now, Rodney's distinctive announcer voice is literally everywhere. He's announced promos for the ABC hit Dancing with the Stars, ABC's Charlie Brown Christmas specials. He announced the 34th NAACP Image Awards and the Essence Awards on Fox Television. Those were specials for Fox TV. He's announced the Grammy Awards and the Country Music Awards for CBS, and he's also one of the top trailer voices in the business. You could have heard Rodney's voice for Red Tails, Tupac Resurrection, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, and many more. And his credits basically looks like alphabet soup. He's been on ESPN, NFL Networks, NBC, HBO, Showtime, CNN, and the BBC. Rodney, I could go on and on with all of your credits, but let's dive in. Welcome to the program.
Hey, I am so glad to be here, John. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to share some of your information with us. Maybe you could share with everybody how you got started in voiceovers. I know you were an actor. Actually, I saw a rerun of MASH. And I said, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was it about acting and voiceover that sparked you?
Well, I was always acting as a kid, just fooling around in school, the class clown. And then I went on to junior high school, and I was singing in talent shows. And then I went to high school, and I started playing lead roles in musicals. I was Tony in West Side Story, Billy Bigelow in Carousel, and Sky Masterson in Guys and Dolls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then there was music around my house because my father was a singer, and he was with Motown with a group called the Downbeats. And so they would practice at the house, and I would sing with them. And then I went on to go to college, and I played Pearlie in the musical Pearlie Victorious. And then I got into a show called Your Arm's Too Short to Box with God, which was a musical that toured all around the country. And then I went to Broadway, and I was in The First, the Jackie Robertson story. And then I came out to California, and I started acting, and I was doing things like the show you saw, MASH, and I did Taxi. And everybody kept saying to me along the way, you have a great voice, you should get into voiceover. And I didn't know what voiceovers were. I found out, and it changed my life.
Obviously. Actually, I think I saw a picture of your father for the album cover for that song.
Yes. There's a picture on Facebook right now. It's like a group picture. And my dad's there, and I'm so glad to find those kinds of pictures, when you and then once you put something out there, everybody else comes up with something. Somebody on Facebook found the actual song, You're So Fine, which is one of the first songs they recorded on a label called Peacock. Oh. So social media is fantastic. They can find anything.
No secrets. So I should let everybody know that Rodney is a former instructor of mine. I took his promo and trailer voiceover course, Rodney, I think back in 2004, 2005.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a great experience, and Rodney and I have kept in touch with each other off and on through email and occasional phone calls. And I said, Rodney, I'd love to have you on the program, because one of the things I've always admired about you, and you even did this when you were teaching the course, was you gave great value and information and great instruction, but you also let everybody know what other resources you have available to people. And you always did it in a very kind and informative way. It's almost like it was a serving suggestion. If you like this information, I also have this. And you've always done that in a very kind way. And I just wanted to talk to you about that a little bit and see how that developed for you, because some folks are they hesitate when promoting themselves. And you have to do that in this business. And I want to know how you evolved into that. Was that something that came naturally to you, or is that something that you had to work at?
Well, before I do that, I do want to say that, yes, John, you were in my promo and trailer teleclass, and you were one of the standout students. Oh. Yes, and I want you to know that. And I have been so proud of you and impressed with what you have done after that class. Your voiceovers have been remarkable. And what you've done in other things, like this show right here. I'm just very impressed by it, and it was a pleasure to have you, and I look forward to working with you in the future, not only in that capacity, but, in the actual voiceover world. We got to do some stuff together.
I'd love that.
Yes. But I to answer your question, it's very important to market yourself and get yourself out there, but it's also very important to do it in a way that is not offensive to anyone, that is not too braggadocious, just something that comes on with the truth. And I find that if we tell the truth, and if we come from our heart, and if we're honest about what we're telling people and what we can offer people, I find that it works better. all the way around. And I think that's been my secret, just honesty. As someone that's in the business and doing it every day, doing voiceovers every day, auditioning every day, working with my agents, working with my management, my publicists, and all these different people, I know what's going on. I know what they're looking for out there. And so I try to bring that to the students that I'm teaching.
Interesting. What do you think that they're looking for? Does that differ for each talent, or is there something out there that, it's pretty common that, if you can bring this to your game and offer this as a skill set or talent, that you're going to be doing well?
Well, here's what they're looking for. They're looking for good actors. Acting is very important. It's not how you sound, but how you interpret the copy that wins the job. It's really that simple. You're talking right now. You have that beautiful baritone voice. I have my baritone voice. We can call somebody else on that's got a nice bass voice. We can call some women on with great soprano voices and great alto voices. Now, if everybody has all these great voices and everybody sounds the same, what is the difference? The difference is the interpretation of the copy. That is the difference. How you interpret the copy, how you make the words jump off the page and entice and encourage the consumer to watch what you want them to watch or buy the product that you're trying to sell. It is that simple. It is interpretation.
I've studied with Pat Fraley too, and one of the things is that he says in some of his courses is that people are going to come in and give them great. They're going to give them what's on the page. They may not be looking necessarily for great, but they're looking for good and different. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
I like that. I like that a lot. I like good and different. I like unique. Okay. All of those words. Those are great things if you can bring that. Yes, I agree.
Just shifting gears a little bit, one of the things that I noticed is that you have books and you have courses and you have consulting services. And one of the things that I noticed, and you talked about speaking truth and making those things available to people. And one of the things, I've talked with a number of folks that listen to this podcast, and a common concern or hesitation is promoting themselves. And one of the things that I know that you do, and maybe I've asked this question and you've answered it, but I want to ask it in a little bit of a different way. How do you overcome any kind of hesitancy to promote the products and services that you have? You mentioned truth and speaking truth, but was there an exercise or an activity or maybe an affirmation that you give to yourself that says, you know what I've got to offer is worth sharing with people?
Mm-hmm. I think the affirmation was the sales of the first book. You can bank on your voice. The emails that I got, the letters in the mail that I got, where people said, wow, we were really inspired by this. Not only did we learn a lot about voiceover, but we got inspiration. And so when they talked about being inspired and they talked about the motivational things that happened to them after reading my book, I decided to write another book called Step Up to the Mic that was totally about a positive attitude in the business. Step up to the mic, how to succeed in voiceovers, with a positive attitude. And I reached out to the voiceover community, to people like the late Don LaFontaine and people like Nancy Cartwright. And I said to them, please give me some passages about what a positive attitude did for you in this business, how it helped you in this business. And they both and some others gave me those passages, and they're in the book. And they're also some more motivational things. See, it's all about waking up in the morning and seeing the sun shining, even if it's not shining. It's about seeing the glass as half full as opposed to half empty. And taking this positive attitude and then putting it toward everything that you're doing. All right? Everything that you're doing. And things just turn out better when you come at it from a positive point of view.
I love that. I heard somebody say this expression. It was about the glass half empty, half full. And they came back with another thing. They said, the glass is always full. It's either full of air or full of water or a combination of both.
But it's always full.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if that lands you on the side of positivity, I'm all for it.
There you go. There you go. I love that. So I mentioned earlier, and you were very kind with your words about my participation in your course. And some of the things that I've talked about in one of my previous calls was with Rob Berkeley, and we talked about planning, making plans for your business and achieving goals. And one of the things that we talked about was working with mentors and working with coaches. And you were one of my coaches, and I've had other coaches in my life. And one of the great things about working with coaches is that you can buy speed toward accomplishing goals, because they can share with you information and experience that they've had getting to where you may want to be. And I know that you're offering coaching and consulting to folks in the voiceover industry. And I thought maybe this would be a good opportunity for you to share some of the things that you're sharing and working with some of your clients, and what you're looking for in terms of clients.
Well, knowledge is power, and I am always a student myself. I'm always learning. And I started this thing called the Consultants Club because I want it to be more affordable to more people. I'm normally $200 an hour to consult, and that's pricey. And so I said, look, I got to come up with something that everybody can, or more people can afford. And this Consultants Club, you pay $59.95 a month. I speak to you for 30 minutes during the month. You give me 3 dates and 3 times that you're available, and I'll choose one of those, and we'll get together, and we'll do what you want to do. If you want to do promo copy, I'll email promo copy to you, and we'll go over that. Commercial, whatever it is that you want to do. I have some students that are very successful in the business. They don't want me to take them through interpreting copy or anything like that. They just want to talk about the business. They want to talk about marketing. They want to talk about their next move. And so we just consult for those 30 minutes, and I just talk to them about what to do next. So it's whatever you want. Also, there's a 1-hour conference call that happens per month too. And I have guest speakers. Like, I'm so happy to be a guest on your show. People are guests on my show. I'd love to have you come in and speak to my students. And what happens is, for that hour, people from all over the country, because that's who, all over the world, really, those are the members of the Consultants Club. They are all on for that hour asking questions. And I've had people on talking about audiobooks. I've had people talking about trailers, promos, marketing. And so it's just everything that you can get from this Consultants Club. And it's just been very successful in the fact that my students have been succeeding. And I feature them too. If you go to my website, www.rodneysaulsberry.com, you will see a couple of students are there right now. People who, weren't getting work, and all of a sudden they got with me in the Consultants Club, and we went over interpretation and all of these different things, and they got their first jobs. And it just makes me feel good when people that I have been under my tutelage have gone on to be successful, because that's what it's all about. It's about work, it's about being happy, and it's about reaching whatever goal you want to reach by way of talking to me within the Consultants Club.
Doesn't that make you feel really good? I mentioned this in the previous episode, is that I had put together a presentation for the VoiceOver Virtual, and you put these things together and you don't know how they're going to be received. But then when somebody replies back and says they got so much from the presentation and they went about and made some changes in their business, it just warms your heart. It's like, that's almost payment. I mean, you got to eat, you got to pay the bills and have a lifestyle. But getting stuff like that, knowing you've helped people out, isn't that the best feeling?
John, I got to tell you, you said a lot of things for me. You just said what I want to say when you talk about how, and I don't know if anybody out there is going to believe that, but again, I'm coming from my heart. You're right. We have to pay the bills, and that's why we work. But if you ask me what brings me the most joy, it is helping others and seeing them succeed even more than doing great spots and having great national commercials myself. And that's just the truth. Now, I don't want to take all those things away, because like I said, I need that to raise and take care of my family. But the biggest kick I get is the Consultants Club, my promo trailer, teleclasses, whatever I'm doing, teaching. I just love to teach.
Oh, that's obvious from the amount that you do. What are some of the things that you do, aside from having an agent and other folks that you work with to promote Rodney Saulsberry? What are some of the things that you do personally, Rodney, to promote yourself and your business?
Well, getting back to social media, we talked about that. I use Twitter. I use Facebook to a certain extent. And there's still a lot that I need to learn on Facebook because people have pages and then they ask people to like them, and I haven't figured that one out yet, but I got to get into that. I just recently got into a thing and ended up getting work, and people have come to me for teaching through Pinterest, of all things.
Wow.
And Pinterest is supposedly a thing where you're posting pictures of things that you like, and of course I've done that, but other things have come from it too. So social media is definitely a place that I use to promote myself. The next thing I do is I travel occasionally, and when you get out to different areas and talk about what you do, that's helpful too, because now you're in the present flesh. You're there. And voiceover is great because you don't have to be there. You know, I work all over the world from my ISDN line, just like I'm talking to you right now.
Right.
But every once in a while, it's nice to get out and just press the flesh. All right. And I think that's a good promotion thing too. And I urge people out there not to get away from, even with your demos, the physical CD or the physical card in your hand. Yes, the internet is great, and it's going to get even bigger, but at least have somewhat of a presence physically too in the marketplace.
I couldn't agree more. I think there's something about having a physical product that makes people hold on to it longer. There's a perceived value in having something physical, something tangible, whereas I think with emails and files, electronic files, they're easier to discard, throw in the trash bin, delete bin, I guess is the word. Whereas if you've given somebody a CD, they're going to look at that and they're going to go, okay, there's just this perceived value of having a CD or something tangible that they're less likely to get rid of.
No doubt about it. And I mean, you know, the days of, and I don't know how they're making their money, the people that are into the duplication areas these days, but I'm sure they are because they're still out there. But, you know, back in the day when I would finish a demo, I'd have to get like 100 made or 200 or whatever. And now you should learn how to be self-contained in that it's like when you go to a restaurant where they say the food is made to order. All right. So you're able to send the CD out when it is requested, you know, made to order, right? So no longer do we have to get into a bunch of duplication, but we do have to be able to send that physical CD out when warranted. Something that I went back to, I used to do it years ago and then I stopped, and that was producing people's demos.
Oh.
And I don't know why I stopped. I guess I got too busy in some other areas. But once I started the Consultants Club and I started coaching all these people, and through the coaching, I certainly know your voice. If you've spent months with me in our 30-minute sessions, and then of course people purchase more time because sometimes they think the 30 minutes is not long enough. And so I really get to know you. And so I thought, who better to help you with your demo than I? If I'm coaching you and I know your voice and what you're good at and what really makes you shine. So I just want to let everybody out there know that I am doing demos now. And one area that I do that a lot of people don't do is the promo demo.
Oh.
Of course, I'm doing the commercial demo too, but there aren't a lot of people out there that do the promo demo. So I just want to alert everyone to the fact that I'm also available to produce your demo.
Both commercial and promo.
Oh, yeah. Yes, certainly. Commercial, promo, trailer.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Totally want to shift gears here on you a little bit. When you're not doing voiceover, when you're not working, do you like to read? Do you like to listen to music? What do you like to do when you're not doing the Rodney Saulsberry voiceover thing?
Well, I love to listen to music, and I love to play music. I play guitar, and I write music. In fact, I have a motivational CD that I put out a few years ago, and it's big in the voiceover community too. I'm always thinking, you know, I'm always getting back to that, even in my music. But yeah, you can get that on iTunes. It's called Better Than Before, Rodney Saulsberry, Better Than Before. I also work on my app. I've got an app that everybody should jump on. Right now you can go to Google Play and get it. It's called A1 Voice, the number 1 voice.
Okay.
It's on Google Play. And you can load it into your Android. It'll be in the App Store, Apple, soon, probably in another week. But you can also go to my website at rodneysaulsberry.com, and you can scan it right there on my homepage. Or for all of you out there with your devices, you can just type into your phone, all iPhone owners, RodneySaulsberry.com, and it will prompt you to download my app.
What does the app do, Rodney?
Well, the app is wonderful. That's a great question, John, because it has tongue twisters on it. And as you know, I'm very popular in the tongue twister area. You can go to YouTube and put my name in YouTube, and all these things pop up, and they've got all these hits from people doing them. And these are available on the app now.
Ah, cool. Why in the world would a whale want water?
Oh, my God. Oh, listen to you. Listen to you. See? Oh, man, you're a man after my heart, man. Do you know that people, when I go around the country, people don't walk up to me and say hello. They walk up to me and say, why in the world would a whale want water? When a whale wants water, will a whale want dry? Why in the world would a wet whale want wet water? Will a wet whale want wet water? You know what I mean? It's like, it's amazing. Properly press the purple and black pleated plaid pants you own, prepare to put. And then they say hello. So that's why I wanted to come up with the app. It also has motivational videos. It has motivational music. It has current events. It has my classes and upcoming events. So it's a must-have. Your voiceover business is just a fingertip away if you get the A1 Voice app.
That's awesome. See, this is what I'm talking about. Rodney Saulsberry is a master voiceover talent, but he's also got a lot of great products and services, and he delivers the information in a way that you absolutely love to get it.
Thank you. And I like to work out. Love to work out.
Okay.
I'd love to work out at the gym. I'll be doing that when I get finished here with you. And I play golf. Haven't played a lot lately, but love to play golf. Love sports. Love boxing, basketball. So those are the things that I do, and spend time with my wife and daughter. My daughter is 25, and she's doing very well. She's a publicist, and she's doing very well. We're so proud of her.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. And I love the movies, man. I love to go to movies.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What have you seen this year?
Oh, I've seen so much. I've seen Prisoner. I've seen, oh, my God. I saw that Justin Timberlake movie the other day, him and Ben Affleck. Oh. I saw Parkland. I saw the great movie with the Sopranos guy.
James Gandolfini? Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. That movie was great. Yeah, he did a great job in that. Yeah, I see movies. I've seen so many. Prisoners was good.
Oh, okay, cool.
Prisoner, yeah. So I've seen a lot of stuff.
I want to be mindful of the clock, but I want to ask you a couple more questions if I can. If there was one bit of advice that you were to give somebody who's in the midst of their voiceover business and they might be struggling a little bit, what's one thing that you would suggest that they do, or one resource that they could check out?
Listening. Whatever is going on in your career right now, especially if you're not working as much as you would like, or if your booking to work ratio is not where you would like it to be right now, I am going to say to you, just start listening. Because if we get our ear to the ground and we know what the trend is, for instance, the trend today, they're looking for that real person read. You've got to be able to sound like a real person. Even the announcer read now has backed off of the traditional announcer as we know it, and things are a lot looser, and it's hard to do that. And I bet you didn't know. I bet people out there didn't know that it takes technique to be real.
Yeah.
Because what happens when we come to the microphone, we think that we assume that we have to do a certain kind of voice. We have to put something on, and to not do that, there's technique in that too. And those are the types of things that I teach. So my word that you wanted me to give everybody, the one thing, my thing would be to listen. Listen to what's going on out there so that you can emulate that and bring your own style to it, but emulate it. And I think things will change for you.
That's great. I love that. You have offered so much in the short time that we've been here, and I want to be mindful of the clock. You've got so many resources and opportunities to connect with you. If people do want to learn more about the Consultants Club, do I have that correct?
Yes, you do. Consultants Club, yep. Mm-hmm.
If they want to learn more about that or reach out to you, Rodney, is it RodneySaulsberry.com, or what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
Yes, RodneySaulsberry.com is my website. And, of course, when you get there, you're going to see my email address, which is rodtalks@aol.com. rodtalks@aol.com. But Rodney Saulsberry, and that's another thing, too. I want to say this to everybody out there. Here's another thing. We talked about listen, that's one. Here's two. Branding. Get your name out there. Branding is so important. Branding. You know, you can't go wrong if you deal with Rodney Saulsberry. And so that's why it's important, too. I remember talking to Chuck Duran about this. I don't know if you're familiar with the show VO Buzz Weekly. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Yes. And in fact, I urge everybody to watch my interview. I did a 2-part interview on that show, and I put a lot of information out there that everybody should hear. But I remember saying to Chuck, isn't it a shame how everybody gets into the business and then they come up with all these creative, clever things, names. Okay, you know, I would rather you just keep your name, like RodneySaulsberry.com, but if you don't, whatever you do, make sure you stick to it. You see, and that's why you can't go wrong. Like when you ask me, Rodney, how can people reach you? I'm saying to everybody, just remember Rodney Saulsberry and you got me.
Right.
Just learn how to spell it, right?
Right. Berry.
That's right. Saulsberry. And get yourself out there. Get your brand out there. You know, you just keep throwing a lot up against the wall, but make that good stuff that you throw up against the wall. And then something sticks.
You just brought up something interesting. This is sort of a rhetorical question, but persistence. You know, people have ups and downs. They have great times in their business where everything seems to be clicking, and then there are times where, you know, it's tough. You're working, and the scripts aren't coming in or whatever it is, and you're just like, what changed? We've all had times like that in our businesses and careers. What do you do when you run into a rough patch? What do you do to keep going? What's the motivation?
Well, first of all, you know, my faith. I have strong faith in God, and so I depend on that. And then the next thing I do is when things are down, I just try to do something else. I just always, you know, if promos aren't happening, then let's go after trailers. If trailers aren't happening, then let's try to do some more in this commercial area. But every day, because we don't have 9 to 5s like normal people,
right,
we can work at any time. And so we should always be working on something. I have a video on YouTube called Never Be Unemployed Again.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah. And I just talk about the fact that you're never really unemployed because you're always trying to get work, and that is your work, you see. So when things are down, double down, all right? Work harder. Yeah.
There you go. Rodney, this has been wonderful. One more time again, please, with your web address and any other information you want to share. And I also want to let everybody know that I'm going to put links to all of this in the show notes. So if you go to voiceovermarketingpodcast.com and you find the episode with the interview with Rodney Saulsberry, I will have links to all of Rodney's websites. And I'm going to try and even get a link to your app too, Rodney, because why in the world would a whale want tepid tea? Ha ha.
I listen to you. You even know that one.
Taste test.
Tepid tea.
Yeah.
Taste test the tepid tea. Tea tastes warm to thee. I don't even know that one by heart. But yeah, 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. Tip the waiter 2 times 3 or something.
Time to taste and tip again.
There you go. Boy, John, you're killing me. And you're not reading. You tell me you're reading something.
I'm not.
Oh my God. Well, thank you for that. That's great.
Thank you.
Well, let me just real briefly. RodneySaulsberry.com. Okay, that's the website. RodTalks@AOL.com. Make sure you get the S on Rod Talks. The phone is a native app at Google Play right now, and you just type in A1 Voice, A the number 1 in voice. It will be a native app soon in the Apple Store, but in the meantime, it's there on my website, or you can just put in RodneySaulsberry.com, and any cell phone device will prompt you to download the app, the mobile app. I'm teaching a class right now, my promo trailer teleclass, which is the one that you were in, John.
Right.
Is so very popular. I cut it down to 3 weeks. When you did it, it was 6 weeks.
Right.
And as soon as I put it out there, I only take 12 so I can give everybody a lot of time. Immediately, it got full. So I'm going to do it again probably sometime early December, because I know people are getting ready for the holidays, or maybe late November or something, but I got to get it in another 3-weeker because I got a lot of people on the waiting list.
Oh.
But I still have room if you jump on it. So everybody look for my promo trailer teleclass and just watch my website for that. What else? That's all I can think. Oh, the Consultants Club. Yeah, you got to get on that because great things are happening with that, and it gives me a chance to have a tab on what's going on with you. And we can work together. And I always tell people, give it 3 months, and see if things change for you. And if it doesn't, or whenever you want to get off, you just go to PayPal and cancel your membership. And whenever you come back, you can jump back on again too. It's not like you come back and I say it's a higher rate right now. It's $59.95, right. And I'm here for you. I'm here for you, wow. And I love to do it. And I welcome all.
Well, Rodney, having been a student of yours, the content and the caring that you really give to your students and the content that you deliver is outstanding. And I just want to thank you for making the time to be here today and share your information and your resources with the audience. And I mentioned that you were going to be a guest to a few people, and they were all like, "Oh, yeah, great! I saw his presentation at this, or he listened to my demo about that, or something." So they're really looking forward to this episode, and I'm really excited to be able to have you on the show. And so, thanks for taking the time to do this.
John, thank you so much for having me. And again, I am so proud of you. You have just jumped leaps and bounds. And speaking of marketing and your website, everyone can learn from you.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
You are so welcome.
Well, that's it for this episode of the Voiceover Marketing Podcast. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to it at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com so you'll get notices of new episodes, and please share it with your friends and colleagues in the voiceover world. Also, it would be a huge help if you'd like this podcast and rate it on iTunes to help keep it near the top of the list. Feel free to share your comments and questions about this episode and future topics you'd like discussed at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com. And if you'd like more information on one-on-one coaching with me and mastermind group opportunities where we focus on growing your business, feel free to drop me a line at my cyber assistant's email address at mike@johnmelly.com. Thanks for listening. Now go out there and share your voice with the world.